Hi everyone, welcome back to Alice on the Giant Bookshelf. My name's Alice and today I'm very excited to bring you a brand new and original tag, the Hercule Poirot Mystery Tag. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today's video is my very first attempt at an original tag, and I hope a lot of you will join in with me and do this tag. I decided to create this tag in honour of Agatha Christie's birthday. Hello Harry, have you come to celebrate Agatha Christie's birthday? Hi there. Hi. Good boy. Agatha Christie's birthday is the 15th of September, so I thought that this week I would try and bring out a few Agatha Christie related videos. I really enjoy talking to you about Agatha Christie mysteries, and I've really enjoyed so far talking to some of you in the comments about the legend that is Agatha Christie and her work. So my brand new tag is called the Hercule Poirot Mystery Book Tag, and it is going to be about Hercule Poirot, Agatha Christie's most famous creation, the Belgian detective. You have him on the front here, and also of course he was famously played by David Suchet in the ITV series Agatha Christie's Poirot. David Suchet is definitely who I think of when I picture Poirot. I know David Suchet put in a huge amount of effort to play Poirot, so it's very appreciated. Hercule Poirot first appeared in 1920 in The Mysterious Affair at Styles, Agatha Christie's first novel. And this tag is going to be about him, but it's also more widely about mysteries in general. So if you're not a big fan of Hercule Poirot, and I won't ask you why not, you can still join in and answer some of these questions, hopefully. So we'll start off with some questions that are more mystery related, but also related to Hercule Poirot, and we will move on at the end. There are a couple of questions about your experiences of Poirot. So let's get started. And Hercule Poirot is famously a detective who's extremely proud of his achievements. I won't attempt a Belgian accent, but in The Mystery of the Blue Train, one of Agatha Christie's earlier Poirot novels, Hercule Poirot, never one to be modest, declared, "My name is Hercule Poirot and I am probably the greatest detective in the world." So my question is, question one, if not Poirot, who is your favourite detective, and which book would you recommend featuring your favourite? So my favourite obviously is Hercule Poirot, and the book that I would recommend with him in, although I recommend all of them, my favourite is Five Little Pigs. So if you've never heard of Five Little Pigs, I do recommend picking this one up. It's about a woman who has already been convicted of murder and died in prison, and her daughter comes to Poirot many years later and asks him to resolve the mystery of who actually killed Caroline Crail's husband, Amyas Crail. In this book, sure enough, Poirot is able to solve a very cold case by going back to interview the five little pigs of the title, who are the five suspects. Can you stop, please? If I was choosing another detective that isn't Poirot, that would be the legendary Sherlock Holmes himself. I've read all of the Sherlock Holmes books and I absolutely love them. My favourite is either The Hound of the Baskervilles if you want to read a novel. I think this is Conan Doyle's best. If you don't want to read a novel, I highly recommend my first introduction to Sherlock Holmes, which was The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, which contains several really good short detective stories. So I highly recommend this if you've not read Sherlock Holmes before. Question number two. Hercule Poirot uses his little grey cells to solve cases. In The Big Four, Poirot stated, "Hercule Poirot's methods are his own. Order and method and the little grey cells." My question is, have you ever solved an Agatha Christie mystery? If yes, which one? If no, is there an author whose mystery you have solved, and who was it? So I think that either I am not a very good detective, or Agatha Christie is the absolute master of delivering plenty of red herrings to me to prevent me from solving her cases. So I'm not sure that I would say I have solved an Agatha Christie. I think I've come close a couple of times, and there may be a couple of the later ones where I did manage to solve the mystery, but off the top of my head I can't actually remember which one. I generally guess wrong, so I'm not much of a Poirot myself. Question 3 is named after Hercule Poirot's first adventure, The Mysterious Affair at Styles. This is the introduction to Hercule Poirot and also Agatha Christie's very first novel. I would like you to recommend me the first book in a series where you met one of your favourite characters. This for me obviously is The Mysterious Affair at Styles, although I didn't actually meet Poirot in this book because I had already read several. The first one that I actually read was The Murder on the Orient Express, so I didn't meet Poirot here at the beginning. I think my pick for a book that I've read that introduced me to a really good character and a really good series would be Blue Monday by Nikki French. And this introduces us to the character of Frida Klein, who is a psychotherapist living in London, and she is just a brilliant creation by Nikki French, and I highly recommend trying this series if you haven't already. It's not very many books, it's a series of 8 books. It starts with Blue Monday, and each title has the name of a day of the week in the title. I've mentioned it before on my channel, and I would highly recommend that fans of psychological thrillers and crime books go and check this one out. Question number 4 is named after one of Agatha Christie's most famous books, Murder on the Orient Express. Agatha Christie wrote several Poirots that were set on different types of transport, including another one of my favourites, Death in the Clouds, and of course Death on the Nile, which was set on a cruise ship. So the question is, what is your favourite mystery set on a train, plane or boat? I really enjoy all 3 of these books because they are one of my favourite types of mysteries, which is, if not a closed room mystery, then a small space with a limited pool of suspects. I really enjoy mystery novels like this, and I would have to say that my favourite set on transport is definitely Murder on the Orient Express. If you have a favourite that is by a different author, I would love to hear it so that I can go and check it out. Question number 5 is named after another one of my favourite books, The ABC Murders. The ABC Murders features a killer working their way through an alphabet of victims, and Poirot and Hastings must try to stop the murderer before he or she keeps killing. I would like you to recommend me a mystery involving a serial killer for this prompt, and I would highly recommend The ABC Murders. It's a very interesting take on a serial killer, and I love what Agatha Christie did in this one. It's definitely right up there with my favourite Poirots. My other favourite serial killer to read about is not actually a mystery story, because it's a story where we follow the serial killer as the main character, and that is the Dexter series that began with Darkly Dreaming Dexter. I really enjoyed this series, and it's very dark, but it's a very interesting take on a serial killer. So I highly recommend that if you enjoy reading about really bad people. Question number 6 is named after the Hercule Poirot book, Dumb Witness. My favourite thing about Dumb Witness is the character of Bob, the dog. My question is, can you recommend me a book where an animal helps to solve the case, like Bob? Bob is one of my favourite animals that I've met in a fiction book. He is just fantastic. Agatha Christie was a huge lover of dogs and had many dogs in her lifetime. You can tell by the way she writes the character of Bob how much affection she has for dogs. It's really pleasing how Bob's clues help Poirot to solve this case. I would love to hear from you if you know of any other mysteries where an animal helps to solve the case. Question 7 is named after my favourite Hercule Poirot mystery, Five Little Pigs. This was also adapted as a play called Go Back for Murder. In this book, and in a number of other Agatha Christie books, Poirot solves cases that have been closed for years. Which is your favourite cold case Poirot? There are several. If you don't have one, could you recommend me any other authors or detectives who have solved past cases or cold cases? My favourite is definitely this one. I'm not going to recommend a different author for this tag, although I do enjoy the Ruth Galloway series written by Ellie Griffiths. It's a series that I've fully listened to on audiobook. I've never actually read one of the books in physical form, but I do like the fact that Ruth Galloway is often instrumental in solving cases where she investigates the bones of long dead, sometimes really long dead, because she's an archaeologist, cases. So that is a series I have enjoyed, but Five Little Pigs is by far and away my favourite ever cold case solving book. Question 8 is named after Agatha Christie's book Dead Man's Folly. I don't actually have a paperback copy of this, so this is actually the graphic novel form. But Dead Man's Folly is famously set at Agatha Christie's own holiday home, Greenway, very thinly disguised. What is your favourite murder mystery setting? So mine, although I am very fond of this and the Greenway setting is very cool, my favourite murder mystery setting would be either the Locked Room mystery or the Country House mystery. I like both of these. I love how these usually have a really small pool of suspects, both in Sherlock Holmes and in Poirot, sometimes in Miss Marple as well. I love the idea of as small a setting as possible where the detective is forced to closely examine basically the people who live in the house, and you just know the murderer is among the family. So that's my favourite setting for a murder mystery. What is yours? Now we go on to the last two questions, which are just about Poirot. If you don't like Poirot, there are still opportunities to answer these questions. So question 9 is, do you have a favourite Poirot mystery? I've already told you mine, and later in the week I'm going to be putting out a video with my top 10 Agatha Christie's of all time, so that will answer that one for you. If you don't have a favourite Poirot mystery, perhaps you could tell us a favourite mystery that you've read recently. And finally, question 10, this is for all the Poirot lovers out there, is how many Poirots have you read? Agatha Christie wrote 33 novels featuring Hercule Poirot, and also a novella which I've read, and a play which was later adapted by Charles Osborne as a book, and there are over 50 short stories featuring Hercule Poirot. I've read all of these now, and I wish I had more Poirots to read, but I don't. So my other question is, if you've not read any or not read many, which Hercule Poirot do you think you will read next? If you'd like some recommendations, do tune into my video later in the week where I will be telling you my 10 favourite Agatha Christie's. I also have previously made a video with 5 recommendations from the 1900s to 1950s of Agatha Christie books, so you can check that out. I'll link it up here. We've reached the end of my very first original tag with 10 questions to answer about Hercule Poirot and mysteries in general. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, I really hope that you're going to participate in it. If you've enjoyed this video, please do give it a like, and please do subscribe if you'd like to see more Agatha Christie content. So finally, I would like to tag some people in this tag. I'd like to tag all of you, everybody who's watching. If you love Agatha Christie, if you love Poirot, even if you don't love either of those things but you do love mysteries or you love crime fiction in any way, I would love you to do this tag, and I will enjoy watching your videos to get some new recommendations for crime fiction and mysteries as well. I would just like to tag a few people who I've either spoken to about Agatha Christie, or I love watching their videos about Agatha Christie. If we've even shared a passing comment about Agatha Christie, I tag you. I'm sorry if I miss your name off this list, but I would love to see you do the tag. So the people I would like to tag as well as that is Lil at Lil's Vintage World, Julie at The Hungry Bookworm, Kevy at Say Kevy, Sandy at Miss Reads a Lot, Marilyn Meyer Mendoza, Nikki at Red Dot Reads, Shelley Swearingen, Pay at Detention, Janelle at Too Fond of Books, Summer at Cosy Reading with Quaker Cats, Larry Has Opinions, Graham Sillars Reads, and Christina at Knitting, Books, etc. and also Leah at Pen to Paper and books like Woe. If you've spoken to me about Agatha Christie before and I've missed you off that list, I do apologise, and I tag you anyway. I tag everybody. So yeah, please do this tag. If you don't have a YouTube channel, I'd love to hear some of your answers in the comments below. And if you are on my Instagram, I'd love for you to do the tag over there as well. So this was the Hercule Poirot mystery book tag. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you'll enjoy joining in with it if you're going to. I hope you'll join me again later in the week for some more Agatha Christie content. And I hope to see you all again soon in another video all about books here on Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. Bye for now, and keep using those little grey cells. No, thank you. Don't you like it? I think this one's the best, don't you?